The candle flickered. She pulled back an inch, but he didn't move, still 8 inches between them, close enough to count his breaths. "How long has it been since you last dated?" Her voice came out lighter than she meant. He didn't smile. Instead, he leaned closer. "Before tonight." His voice dropped so low she almost had to guess the words. She flinched, not at what he said, but at the way his voice shook saying it. The candle went out. Neither of them moved. 3 weeks earlier, Caleb Morrison's assistant dropped a tabloid on his desk without a word. The headline screamed, "Manhattan's Most Eligible Bachelor," in red letters above 5 photos of him with 5 different women. His lawyer reviewing contracts at a bistro. His architect presenting building renderings. His CFO exiting his car. His daughter's school principal at a parent meeting. A charity director whose name he couldn't remember. None of it mattered to the Wentworth family, who were already building a custody case against him. The hearing was 6 weeks away, and these photos were exactly the ammunition they needed. Caleb had been divorced for 3 years. His ex-wife Vanessa had moved to Los Angeles for her career, and they'd agreed Ivy would stay in New York during the school year. It worked fine, until Vanessa's parents decided their 9-year-old granddaughter deserved better than a father the tabloids called unstable. The Wentworths had money connections and lawyers who knew how to weaponize perception. Caleb had the truth, which didn't photograph as well. That evening, Ivy sat on their living room floor, drawing a lopsided castle when he came home. She looked up, and her smile faltered. "Kids at school showed me a picture. They said you have lots of girlfriends." She was 9, but spoke like someone who'd spent her whole life navigating landmines. Caleb sat beside her on the floor. "Those were work friends. The internet makes up stories." Ivy went back to coloring. "Grandma Wentworth called. She used her worried voice." The worried voice came right before suggestions, and suggestions came right before lawyers. Caleb straightened the crooked tower on her drawing. "You know, I'm not going anywhere, right?" Ivy nodded, but then asked quietly, "Daddy, why don't you date anyone?" "For real?" The question landed harder than it should have. 3 years, and he hadn't been on a single date. Not because he didn't want to, but because every time he considered it, he pictured Ivy's face if things fell apart. He pictured her learning to mistrust the way he had. "I'm happy," he said finally. "You and me. We're good." Ivy looked at him with eyes too old for 9. "And Miss Rodriguez says it's okay to try again." Caleb smiled despite himself. "Your teacher is very wise." But that night after Ivy went to bed, he sat in the kitchen with whiskey. He didn't drink, and wondered when he'd become so afraid of wanting something. 2 days later, his lawyer called with worse news. "The Wentworths have connections to Whitmore Holdings. They're making noise about pulling your tech contracts if you fight the custody revision. $50 million in annual revenue." Caleb closed his eyes. $50 million meant jobs, meant his employees' families. "They're using my business to take my daughter." His lawyer's voice was grim. "They're playing every card they have." That same week, he received a proposal for his foundation's annual charity gala. The event planner's name was Harper Lane. Their first meeting was Tuesday morning in his conference room. She arrived exactly on time in a gray suit that looked expensive, but deliberately plain, like she didn't want to be noticed. When she shook his hand, her grip was firm and brief. "Mr. Morrison, most galas are about spectacle. Yours should be about story." She pulled out a thick proposal. "We feature 3 scholarship recipients throughout the night. Real stories, not manipulative. Then you close with why this matters to you personally. You were raised by a single mother, correct?" Caleb had worked with 5 planners over the years. None had ever said the word story. "I don't usually talk about that." Harper's expression didn't change, but her voice softened. "Maybe it's time. People don't give to budgets. They give to people." It was such a simple observation, but it caught him sideways. He studied her face for calculation and found only someone who seemed to genuinely believe what she was saying. "You're hired. When do we start?" She gathered her papers. "Today. And Mr. Morris and I work alone. No team, no assistants. I prefer it that way." There was an edge in how she said it, the sound of someone protecting something they couldn't afford to lose. Over 3 weeks, Harper became part of Caleb's routine. She was at the office twice weekly for planning at the venue, constantly testing details. She was obsessive about perfection, checking everything 3 times. She spoke in bullet points, but occasionally made observations so unexpectedly insightful that Caleb would stop to look at her. Like when she suggested removing VIP seating entirely. The whole point is unity. Why create hierarchy? Or when she redesigned catering to comfort food instead of caviar. People remember meals that feel like home. Ivy met Harper by accident when Caleb's nanny called in sick and he brought his daughter to a late meeting. Harper crouched to Ivy's eye level immediately. "You must be Ivy. Your dad says you're the best part of his day." Ivy looked surprised. "He said that." Harper smiled. "Every time I ask how he's doing, he talks about you." She glanced at Ivy's math worksheet. "Fractions are tough." Ivy hesitated. "Are you helping with Daddy's party?" Harper nodded. "It's big, but your dad wants it to feel cozy somehow." "That's tricky. Do you have ideas?" Nobody had asked Ivy for ideas about grown-up things before. Her eyes lit up. "String lights. We have them in our backyard. They make everything magical." Harper pulled out her phone. "Perfect. I'm adding that now. I might need more of your expertise, though. Think you're up for it?" Ivy nodded so hard her ponytail bounced. Later, after Harper left, Caleb found himself staring at the door. Something about how she'd spoken to Ivy, genuinely asking, not performing, had lodged in his chest. He tried to shake it off. She worked for him. This was professional. He couldn't afford complications with the custody hearing 4 weeks away. But that night in bed, he replayed the moment Harper had dropped her invisible armor just to talk to his daughter, and he wondered what she was protecting herself from. The day before the gala, Harper called. "Meet me at the venue. I want you to see it how guests will tomorrow." Caleb arrived at 7 to find Harper standing at the rooftop railing, looking out at Manhattan. The string lights were already installed, crisscrossing overhead. The city sprawled below them in a carpet of lights. "We're ahead of schedule," Harper said without turning. "Everything's confirmed. Ivy's lights were perfect, by the way." Caleb walked over. "You didn't call me here for a status update." She turned to him, and he saw exhaustion that went deeper than late nights. "I wanted you to see it like this, before the noise. This is what it's really about, this city, all the people trying to hold things together. You're helping them. Don't forget why." There was something raw in her voice. "Are you okay?" Harper said. "I'm fine," too quickly. They stood in silence, the city humming below. Then Harper said almost to herself, "Do you ever feel like you're running so fast you forget why you started?" Caleb felt the question in his chest. "Every day. Usually at 3 in the morning." She laughed, and it was the first real laugh he'd heard from her. 3 in the morning, when everything feels impossible, he asked before he could stop himself. "What feels impossible for you?" Harper looked at him, really looked, and for a moment he thought she might answer. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and went rigid, face draining of color. "Harper." She silenced it without reading. "Nothing. Just spam. About tomorrow's timeline." "You just went white. What was that?" She wouldn't meet his eyes. "Nothing. I should go." She grabbed her bag and headed for the elevator. Caleb followed. "If something's wrong." The elevator opened and she stepped inside. "Nothing's wrong. See you tomorrow. 6 sharp." But just before the doors closed, she said quietly, "Thank you for asking." The gala was flawless. Harper had orchestrated every detail like conducting a symphony. The string lights transformed the rooftop into something ethereal. The scholarship recipients spoke with raw honesty that left the room silent. When Caleb gave his keynote about being raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs about scholarship money that changed his life, the room erupted in applause that lasted 3 minutes. By 9 o'clock, they'd raised $3.2 million. Caleb found Harper near the catering station directing dessert service. She wore a midnight blue dress, hair down for the first time. She looked less like a planner and more like she belonged at the party. "You did it," he said. "This is incredible." She turned, and her professional mask slipped into genuine happiness. "We did it. Your speech was perfect." He wanted to say more, ask about last night's fear in her eyes, but guests surrounded them. "Thank you. Really." She smiled. "It's my job." But the smile reached her eyes this time. Then someone behind them said, "Sloan." Harper's smile vanished. She turned slowly, and Caleb followed her gaze to a man who'd just entered, tall, impeccably dressed, with the kind of confidence that came from never hearing no. He was staring at Harper like he'd found something lost. "Who's Sloan?" Caleb asked quietly. Harper's hands shook. "I have to go." But the man was already cutting through the crowd with purpose. "Sloan, we need to talk." Harper's voice was barely audible. "I don't know you." The man reached them and smiled without warmth. "Don't be dramatic. Your father's been looking for you for 8 months. Did you really think you could hide forever?" Caleb stepped between them slightly. "I think you have the wrong person. This is Harper Lane. She's working tonight." The man's eyes flicked to Caleb, something dangerous passing across his face. "Harper Lane. Clever. But you can't run from your name. You're Sloan Whitmore. Time to come home." The name hit Caleb like ice water. Whitmore Holdings, the real estate empire with connections to the Wentworth family trying to take his daughter. Harper was looking at him now. Fear transformed into resignation, like she'd been waiting for this moment to destroy everything. "Caleb," she started. The man cut her off. "Mr. Morrison doesn't need excuses, though I'm sure he'd be interested to know the Wentworth family are close friends of ours. Business partners, actually. Your custody hearing is in 4 weeks, isn't it, small world?" He smiled again. "I'm Brentley Ashford Sloan's fiancé, or I was until she abandoned our wedding 8 months ago. But we can work through this. Can't we, darling?" His voice dropped lower, intimate and threatening at once. "You've had your adventure. Reality is calling." Harper's voice was steady, now edged with anger Caleb hadn't seen before. "Ex-fiancé. I left. That means it's over." Brentley's expression didn't change. "Your father disagrees. So does mine. The lawyers tracking you across 3 states disagree. You've made your point, Sloan. Time to be reasonable." Guests were noticing now, conversations quieting. Caleb felt the night unraveling. "I think you should leave. Now." Brentley looked at him with something close to pity. "Mr. Morrison, I understand your custody situation is delicate. My family has significant influence with the Wentworths. It would be unfortunate if your association with Sloan complicated things, but I'm sure we can find a mutually beneficial arrangement once she comes home." It was a threat wrapped in silk. Caleb felt rage building. "Get out, before I have security remove you." Brentley raised his hands in mock surrender. "I'll go, but you know where to find me, don't you, Sloan? We'll talk when you're ready to be sensible." He turned and walked toward the elevator, leaving whispered gossip in his wake. The moment the doors closed, Harper turned to Caleb. "I'm sorry. I should have told you. I should have—" Her voice cracked. "I need to go." She was halfway to the stairs when Caleb caught her. "Harper, wait." She wouldn't look at him. "It's Sloan. My name is Sloan Whitmore. I lied about everything. I'm Cornelius Whitmore's daughter. I ran from my wedding 8 months ago because they were marrying me off to merge empires. I've been hiding, and I just destroyed your gala, and probably your custody case because I couldn't stay hidden long enough. Caleb grabbed her hand gently. Breathe. She stopped mid-spiral. I can't. The Wentworths are connected to my family. Brentley will make sure they know. They'll say you're involved with a runaway heiress, that you're unstable, that Ivy, Harper. He said it firmly. Are you in danger? Physical danger? She blinked. Not physical, but they'll destroy. Then we deal with it. But first we finish this gala. You worked too hard for it to end like this. She stared at him. You can't want me to stay. He squeezed her hand. I want you to stay. Whatever your name is, you made tonight happen. I'm not letting them take that. For a long moment she just stared. Then quietly, why? He met her eyes. Because I know what it's like when powerful people try to control your life, and I'm tired of letting them win. Come on, dessert service in 10 minutes. She laughed, something breaking and healing at once. You're insane. He offered his arm. But we're doing this together. Deal. She took it. Deal. They walked back in, and if anyone noticed Harper's tension or Caleb's protective proximity, nobody said anything. The rest blurred past. Dessert served final speeches, made guests trickling out with promises of donations. By 11, the rooftop was empty, except for them and quiet cleanup crew in the background. Harper leaned against the railing from the night before. I should tell you everything. Caleb stood beside her. You don't have to. She took a breath. I do. My father is Cornelius Whitmore. He built his empire treating people like chess pieces. I'm the only heir. When I turned 30, he decided to merge with the Ashford family. Brentley seemed acceptable at first, but I found emails. They'd been planning this for 2 years. My preferences didn't matter. I was an asset to be acquired. Her voice hardened. So 2 hours before the wedding, I grabbed a bag and disappeared. I had a trust fund from my grandmother he couldn't touch. I started over as Harper Lane doing work I actually loved but was never allowed to do because it wasn't suitable for a Whitmore. She looked at him. I rebuilt everything, and now it's falling apart. Caleb shook his head. It's not falling apart. It's getting complicated. Harper's laugh was hollow. They'll come after you. Use me as leverage. Your hearing is my problem. What you need to decide is what you want. Keep running or fight. She was quiet. I've been running 8 months. I'm exhausted. He turned to face her. Then fight. She met his eyes. What if I lose everything? He said it simply. What if you win? You walked away from billions to be free. That's not weakness. That's courage I've never seen. You might lose your daughter because of me. Her voice broke. I might lose my daughter because the system is broken and rich people weaponize it. That's not on you. He paused. And honestly, I'm tired of making decisions based on what powerful people want. Maybe we both stop running. She was quiet for a long time. That message last night, it said, we know where you are, Sloane. I knew they'd found me. Just didn't think this fast. Caleb asked gently, do you want to keep the name Harper? It looked lost. Sloane is who I was. Harper is who I wanted to be. I don't know how to be both. Maybe you don't have to choose. Maybe you're whoever you decide to be, and people who matter stay. He watched her process that. You barely know me. Why help? He took a breath. Because 3 weeks ago you talked about stories and people and why things matter. I realized I'd spent 3 years so careful, so controlled, I forgot what wanting something felt like. Right now, I want to make sure you don't have to run anymore. I'm not asking for anything, just saying you have an ally if you want one. Harper stared at him, then quietly, almost playfully. How long has it been since you last dated? The question came from nowhere and everywhere. Caleb's heart kicked. What? Her voice was teasing, but her eyes serious. You've spent 3 years being careful. How long since you let yourself want something that wasn't about being a good father or CEO? How long since you went on a date? He knew the answer. 3 years, 4 months, 11 days. But standing here with Harper looking at him like she was daring honesty, he heard himself say, "Before tonight." It came out like a question, but wasn't. It was confession. Harper's breath caught. She pulled back an inch. This isn't it? He didn't move closer, just let the question hang. I work for you. There are 100 reasons this is terrible. I'm being hunted. You're in a custody fight, and I don't care. He said it simply. I should, but I don't. She stared. You're insane. He almost smiled. You already said that. I meant it more this time. They stood 8 inches apart, close enough he could see a small scar above her left eyebrow, smelled jasmine in her perfume. The string lights flickered overhead. Manhattan sprawled below. Indifferent. I should go, Harper said without moving. You should. Neither moved. Then Harper's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and went tense. Brentley. Texting. Caleb took the phone, typed, "No, we don't," and handed it back. Block him. She looked at the phone, then at him, then blocked the number. What now? He reached for her hand. Now, we figure out what happens next, together. But first, what do you want? Not what's safe or smart. What do you actually want? Harper squeezed his hand. I want to stop being afraid. Build something real with my own name. And I want... She stopped. What? Her voice dropped. I want to know if tonight was real. If this is real. Or if we're just 2 lonely, scared people making terrible decisions. Which is it? Caleb thought for 3 heartbeats. I think it's both. And I think that's okay. She laughed. Less breaking, no more opening. That's the most honest thing anyone's said in months. He let go of her hand to lean against the railing. My hearing is 4 weeks away. Your family is looking. We're both disasters. But you're not alone. They stood watching city lights. Then Harper said, I'm going to fight. Don't know how yet, but I'm done running. Caleb smiled. For what it's worth, you're terrifying when you're determined. She bumped his shoulder. You're not what I expected either. What did you expect? She considered. Someone cold. The tabloids made you sound like you collected women, but you're just a dad trying to do right. And terrible at asking for help. He laughed. Pot meat kettle. For a moment, everything lifted. Then her phone buzzed again. She pulled it out and went white. Oh no. She turned the screen. Tabloid headline Manhattan Tech. CEO's new flame mystery woman revealed as runaway Whitmore heiress. Below photos of them standing close at the party, Harper's face unmistakable. They know, she whispered. Everyone knows. Caleb read the article. Pure speculation dressed as news, but damage done. By morning, every outlet would pick it up. Wentworth's would see it. Brentley would use it. Her father would know exactly where she was. This changes things, Caleb said calmly. Harper's voice rose. Changes? This destroys things. Your hearing is 4 weeks away. That's time to get ahead of this. He handed back her phone. Tomorrow I call my lawyer. We control the narrative before they do. She looked lost. How? He met her eyes. I don't know yet, but I'm not letting them win. Are you with me? She stared like he'd lost his mind, then slowly nodded. I'm with you. He stood. Then let's go home. Sleep. Tomorrow we fight. They took the elevator down in silence. In the lobby, Harper turned. Thank you for not making me do this alone. He wanted to say more, ask her to dinner, or just another rooftop conversation, but the words stuck. "I'll call tomorrow. We'll figure this out." She nodded and walked out, and Caleb watched her go, wondering how 3 weeks had made his life this complicated. When he got home, Ivy was asleep. He sat in the kitchen with whiskey he still didn't drink, trying to make sense of what happened. He'd met someone who made him want to be brave again, and he might have just handed the Wentworths ammunition to take his daughter. But thinking about Harper on that rooftop asking what he wanted, he couldn't regret it. Not yet. The next morning was worse. Every outlet had the story. Photos analyzed with breathless intensity. Caleb's phone started at 6. His lawyer board members' PR team, everyone asking, "Is this true?" He told them all, "I'll handle it." At 8, the Wentworth lawyer called. "Mr. Morrison, we'd like to discuss how this impacts your fitness as a custodial parent." Caleb said flatly, "Schedule through my lawyer. Get your facts straight first." He hung up. At 9, Harper called. "I'm so sorry. This is my fault." "Stop. This isn't your fault. Are you safe?" Her voice shook. "I'm at my apartment, but my father's lawyers called. They're threatening to sue for breach of engagement contract. Apparently there was a damages clause." Caleb's jaw tightened. "They can't enforce that." She sounded exhausted. "They can try. Make my life miserable trying. I'll lose everything I built." He made a decision. "Meet me at my office in an hour. We're getting ahead of this." "How?" He stood. "I have an idea. Trust me." An hour later, Harper met Caleb and his lawyer Patricia Chen, a woman who could dismantle opponents with surgical precision. Patricia studied Harper. "So you're Sloan Whitmore?" Harper lifted her chin. "I prefer Harper." Patricia nodded once. "Noted. I researched this morning. Your engagement agreement has a damages clause, but it's contingent on bad faith. Escaping coercion isn't bad faith. It's survival. I can argue that. But first, the Wentworths." She turned to Caleb. "They'll use Harper to claim instability. We flip the narrative." Caleb leaned forward. "How?" Patricia pulled up documents. "By being honest and strategic. You met Harper professionally. She planned your gala successfully. You discovered her identity and chose to support her. That's not scandalous. That's decent. But here's the key." She slid a folder across. "I've been gathering evidence since the Wentworths first threatened. Your attendance at every soccer game, parent-teacher conference, doctor's appointment for 3 years. Time logs showing you're home for dinner with Ivy 6 nights a week. Character references from teachers, coaches, neighbors. Medical records showing Ivy is healthy and thriving. School records showing straight A's and perfect attendance." She pulled out another file. "And this cell phone records showing the Wentworth lawyer coordinating with Whitmore Holdings about contract threats. They weaponized your business to manipulate a custody case. That's illegal. We have them on extortion." Caleb stared. "When did you get this?" Patricia's smile was sharp. "The day they first threatened. I don't wait for fights to come to me. Now, we need one more thing." She looked at Harper. "I need proof they coerced you into that engagement. Emails, texts, anything showing it wasn't your choice." Harper's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. "I saved everything. I didn't know why at the time, but I couldn't delete them." She forwarded files to Patricia. Emails from my father to Brentley discussing asset consolidation through marriage. Texts from Brentley saying, "Your preferences are irrelevant to family legacy." A voice memo I recorded when my father told me love wasn't a factor in suitable matches. Patricia's eyes gleamed. "This is perfect. We're going public with all of it. Press conference tomorrow." Caleb felt ice in his veins. "My board will lose their minds." Patricia nodded. "Probably. And you might lose some clients short term. But you'll win the custody case, expose the Wentworths' corruption, and protect Harper legally. The question is whether you're willing to take that risk. She looked between them. Because once we do this, there's no going back. You'll be painting targets on both your backs. Harper and Caleb looked at each other. He saw fear in her eyes, but also something else. Determination. "Let's do it," he said. Harper nodded. "Together." The next day, Caleb stood at a podium in front of packed media. Cameras flashed. Harper stood to the side, visible but not central. Caleb cleared his throat. "I'm here to set the record straight. First, Harper Lane is not my girlfriend. She planned my foundation gala, which raised $3.2 million. She did exceptional work. Second, I learned she's also Sloan Whitmore, who left her family 8 months ago to escape an arranged marriage. That took courage I deeply respect." He paused. "Third, there's speculation that my association with Ms. Whitmore makes me unfit to raise my daughter. Let me be clear, my daughter Ivy is loved, safe, and thriving. Anyone who suggests otherwise doesn't know us." He looked directly at the camera. "And to the Wentworth family, you've threatened my business and questioned my character. But you've never asked Ivy what she wants, because she'd tell you she's happy. She doesn't need rescuing from parents who love her." He took a breath. "Finally, I want to address the tactics used here. We have evidence that Wentworth family lawyers coordinated with business partners to threaten my company's contracts unless I conceded custody. That's extortion, and it's illegal. We're filing formal complaints." He stepped back. "I won't be taking questions." The room erupted, but Caleb walked off. Harper met him at the side door. In the car, Harper said, "That was either brilliant or career suicide." Caleb leaned back. "Probably both. But I meant it." She was quiet. "No one's ever stood up for me like that." He looked at her. "Get used to it." Her eyes filled, but she blinked the tears away. "You're going to lose business." He shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe I'll gain clients who value integrity. Either way, I'm not backing down." She smiled through tears. "Okay, I'll get used to it." The fallout was immediate. Morris and Tech stock dipped 4%. 2 board members called for Caleb's resignation. 3 clients paused contracts. But then, something unexpected happened. 5 new clients reached out specifically because of the press conference. "We need partners with integrity," one CEO wrote. The Morrison Foundation received $120,000 in donations from people who'd seen the gala coverage. And Vanessa called. "I saw the conference. That took guts. I told my parents to back off. You're a great dad. I wanted you to know." After they hung up, Caleb sat in shock, then called Harper. "How are you?" Her voice was tight. "My father wants to meet." Caleb waited. "Do you want to?" She took a breath. "Part of me wants to say everything I've held back for 30 years. Part of me wants to keep ignoring him. But I don't think he'll give up." Caleb asked gently. "What does your gut say?" She was quiet. "That I need to face this. Will you come with me?" "Are you sure?" Her voice was small. "No, but I'm asking anyway." He didn't hesitate. "Then yes, I'll be there." They met Cornelius Whitmore at his office in Whitmore Holdings headquarters 2 days later. Glass and steel and intimidation. Cornelius was early 60s, silver-haired, imposing in the way generational wealth made men. He looked at Harper, then Caleb, then back. "Sloan." Harper's voice was steady. "Harper." He frowned but didn't argue. "You've caused disruption." She lifted her chin. "I left a wedding I didn't want. That's autonomy, not disruption." His expression hardened. "You broke a contract." Harper stepped forward. "I'm not property. You can't sell me to merge businesses. I'm here to tell you it's over. I'm not coming back, not marrying Brentley. If you try to sue or intimidate or destroy what I've built, I'll fight you." Publicly. Cornelius studied her. "You think you can win against me?" Harper glanced at Caleb. I think I have nothing left to lose, and I'm not alone." Cornelius followed her gaze, something calculating crossing his face. "Mr. Morrison, I hear you had custody troubles." Caleb's voice was even. "Not anymore. Threatening someone's business and family is frowned upon in court. Your friends, the Wentworths, withdrew their petition." Cornelius didn't look surprised. "Did they?" Caleb narrowed his eyes. "Did you tell them to?" Cornelius turned back to Harper. "I suggested they reconsider. I also suggested to Brentley the engagement is finished. He won't contact you again." Harper blinked. "Why would you do that?" His voice softened fractionally. "Because you're my daughter, and I've been a terrible father. I'm not asking forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I'm asking for a chance to do better." Harper's eyes filled. "Why now?" He looked older suddenly. "Because I watched Mr. Morrison's press conference. He said you had courage. He was right. You walked away from everything I offered because it wasn't real. That strength I should have recognized years ago." He paused. "I'm proud of you. I should have said that 30 years ago." Harper's voice shook. "I don't know what to say." Cornelius nodded. "Say you'll think about it. Not about coming back. About maybe letting me be part of your life. On your terms." Harper looked at Caleb, who gave a small nod. She turned back. "I'll think about it. That's all I can promise." Cornelius's shoulders relaxed slightly. "That's all I ask." They left in silence. In the car, Harper finally spoke. "Did that just happen?" Caleb started the engine. "I think so." She stared out the window. "I don't trust him." Caleb said gently, "You don't have to, not yet." But maybe he meant it. She was quiet. "Everything's moving too fast." He glanced at her. "Want to slow down?" She met his eyes. "I don't think we can." 1 week later, Patricia called. "The Wentworths officially withdrew their petition. You're keeping full custody." Caleb sat down hard. "Confirmed." Patricia's voice held satisfaction. "Completely. My guess is pressure from someone with more influence than they have. Someone like Cornelius Whitmore." After hanging up, Caleb called Harper. "We won." They dropped the case. There was long silence, then Harper's quiet voice. "My father did that." Caleb said carefully, "You don't know for sure." Her laugh was a little broken. "I do. This is him interfering in a way I can't argue with. I don't know how to feel." "Feel however you want. There's no right answer." He paused. "Harper." "Yeah." His voice was soft. "Can we go back to that rooftop? I want to see the city lights again with you." She was quiet for 3 heartbeats. "Yes, I'd like that." They met at the venue after dark. String lights still up Manhattan, sparkling below. Harper stood at the railing, Caleb beside her. Neither spoke for a while. Then Harper said, "I've been thinking about that question I asked, about how long since you dated." Caleb felt his pulse quicken. "And," she turned to him, "you said, before tonight. But we never actually went on a date. We just had a crisis together. I think we did this backwards." He almost smiled. "Probably." Harper took a breath. "So I have a proposal. Caleb Morrison, would you like to have dinner with me? No press, no lawyers, no disasters. Just 2 people who might actually like each other if they had the chance to find out." Caleb's chest tightened in the best way. "Harper Lane, I would love to have dinner with you." She smiled. "Good. Tomorrow night. I'll pick the place. You just show up." She bumped his shoulder. "And if it goes well, maybe we can figure out what this actually is, because I'm tired of pretending it's nothing." "It's definitely not nothing," Caleb agreed. They stood in comfortable silence. Then Harper said quietly, "Thank you for standing up for me, for not running when it got complicated, for making me believe I could fight." Caleb reached for her hand, lacing their fingers together. Thank you for reminding me what wanting something feels like. And for the record, I'm glad you asked me out. I was working up the nerve. She laughed. How long would that have taken? He grinned. Probably another 3 years. Her laugh carried across the rooftop and out into the indifferent city. They stayed another hour talking about everything and nothing. When Caleb finally drove home, he felt lighter than he had in years. Their first date was at a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn. Caleb showed up nervous in jeans and a button-down. Harper was already there, in a simple dress, looking equally nervous. I almost canceled 3 times, she admitted. He slid into his seat. Why didn't you? She met his eyes. Because I wanted to see you more than I wanted to avoid being scared. That's progress, right? He smiled. That's definitely progress. The dinner was easy, the way good first dates are. They talked about Ivy's soccer, Harper's newest client, whether New York pizza beat Chicago pizza. They didn't talk about custody or tabloids. For 2 hours, they were just 2 people learning each other. When the check came, Harper grabbed it. I asked you out. My rules. Caleb laughed. You can get the next one. She raised an eyebrow. Assuming there is one, he held her gaze. There will be, if you want. Her smile was answer enough. They walked through Brooklyn after finding a small park overlooking the East River. Manhattan glowed across the water. This city, Harper said softly. I spent so long trying to escape it. Now I can't imagine being anywhere else. Caleb asked, Why'd you come back? She considered. Because running doesn't solve anything. It delays the problem. And the life I wanted was here. I just had to build it myself. She looked at him. You helped more than you know. He pulled her closer. We helped each other. They sat on a bench facing the water. Harper said, I have a confession. Caleb tensed slightly. Should I be worried? She smiled. Maybe. That night on the rooftop, when I asked about dating, I already knew the answer. Ivy told me during planning. She said her dad didn't date because he was scared of messing it up. Caleb groaned. My daughter is going to be insufferable when she finds out about us. Harper's voice was quiet. Are we together? He turned to her. I'd like to be, if you're sure. She leaned in. I'm terrified and completely sure at the same time. He kissed her gently. That sounds about right. The kiss was tentative and perfect, the kind that happens when both people have waited long enough to mean it. When they pulled apart, Harper asked, So? 3 years. Caleb laughed softly. Give or take. She rested her head on his shoulder. Worth the wait, though. He pulled her closer. Definitely worth it. 4 months later, they stood on the same rooftop where it began. String lights overhead, city sprawling below. Remember the first time we stood here? Harper asked. Caleb smiled. You were terrified. I was pretending I wasn't. She looked up at him. And now, he considered. Now I'm still pretending. Just better at it. She laughed and leaned into him. They'd been navigating the strange territory of building something real in the aftermath of chaos for 3 months now. It wasn't perfect. There were paparazzi catching them at restaurants, tense conversations about pacing and boundaries nights, when Harper's passed and Caleb's responsibilities collided. But there were also Sunday mornings, with Ivy making pancakes, late-night calls, lasting until dawn, moments when Caleb looked at Harper and couldn't believe this was real. Ivy asked me something yesterday, Harper said. Caleb tensed. Should I worry? She smiled. She asked if I was going to be her stepmom someday. I said we were taking it slow. Caleb asked carefully. What did she say? Harper's voice was soft. She said adults are bad at fast, but that's okay because she has patience. Then she drew a picture of the 3 of us. Something warm expanded in Caleb's chest. She loves you. Harper met his eyes. I love her. And you. I know it's only been 4 months, but I do. Caleb had felt it building for weeks, the certainty that what they had was real. But hearing her say it still made his breath catch. I love you too. I think I have since that night you asked about dating. She teased. Before tonight. He pulled her closer. Before tonight, which was 4 months ago, so really much longer. She laughed. Time is relative. They stood watching the city. Then Harper said, My father wants to meet Ivy. Caleb asked gently, How do you feel? She considered. Nervous, but maybe ready. He's been trying, calling weekly, asking about my business instead of controlling it. It's strange, but it's something. She looked at him. Would you be there? He didn't hesitate. If you want me there, I'll be there. She squeezed his hand. I want you there, for everything. They stood in silence, Manhattan humming below them. Then Caleb said quietly, Harper Lane, formerly Sloan Whitmore, currently the most stubborn and brilliant person I know. She interrupted, Is this a proposal? Her voice was playful, but her eyes serious. He smiled. Not yet. This is a pre-proposal. A warning. He took both her hands. I want to marry you someday. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday, when we're both ready, and Ivy's ready, and your father has earned the right to be part of it if you want him there. Harper's eyes filled. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. He laughed. It's not a proposal, it's a promise. That I'm not going anywhere, that we have time, that there's no rush because I already know how this ends. She whispered, How does it end? He pulled her close. With us, however long it takes to get there. Harper kissed him, and it tasted like promises, and the kind of future neither had dared imagine 4 months ago. When they pulled apart, she said, Okay. He raised an eyebrow. Okay. She smiled through tears. I accept your terrible pre-proposal promise. And when you actually propose, it better be on this rooftop. He kissed her forehead. Noted. They stood there as the city lights began to glow brighter against the darkening sky. The candles from that first night were long gone, but the string lights still twinkled overhead. Caleb thought about the question Harper had asked all those weeks ago. How long has it been since you last dated? Before tonight, he'd answered. And he'd meant it, because everything before that moment had just been waiting for someone who'd make him want to stop being so careful, waiting for someone who understood what it meant to fight for something real. He'd found that someone, and he wasn't letting go. Harper looked up at him, her face soft in the glow of the lights. What are you thinking? He smiled. That I'm glad you asked. She understood immediately, laughing softly. Me too. They turned back to watch Manhattan, two people who'd found each other in the middle of chaos, building something that felt like home. The city kept spinning below them, indifferent as always. But up here, time slowed just enough to matter. And that was exactly how it should be.